All right, it's week 1, and the injury report for Monday is already out, and let's talk about it. So, for your LA Rams, it appears that Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua, who has suffered a knee injury during this offseason, defensive back Darius Williams, who suffered a hamstring injury, and offensive lineman, former Detroit lineman Jonah Jackson, who suffered a shoulder injury, are all expected to be a go for this week, September 8th, showdown in Motown for week 1. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk with Jonah Jackson moving to the center position. The Rams are kind of scrambling at this point due to a couple of suspensions and injuries that the Rams are just trying to pull and plug pieces where they can. I will say that this is not going to be a good look for the Rams on opening week. I do not expect Jonah to have a very good evening against his former team. Now, Sean McVay did confirm that all three worked back in Monday's practice as expected, and added that Jonah Jackson was able to work back in a little bit last week as well, albeit not that much. According to McVay, he was quoted as saying, "They're making great progress. We expect them to start to ease into full speed workouts and different things like that, with the expectations that they'll be ready to go for the Lions." Now, Puka Nacua practiced for the first time since sustaining a knee injury in the Rams joint practice with the Chargers on August 4th, though McVay since then has said that the injury would not jeopardize his ability to prepare and be ready for the week 1 matchup. With Williams, it kind of marked his first opportunity that practicing, since straining what appeared to be a hamstring in the first week of training camp. So this marked his first opportunity also to get back on the field. And again, McVay said that there's possibility that offensive lineman Rob Havenstein, who suffered an ankle injury, could be back for week 1. And then you've got Matthew Stafford, who also suffered a hamstring injury. He's been dealing with hamstring tightness while he's been working his way back. Now, last week, there was, Stafford was elevated back to practice last week. Like I said, he's been battling this hamstring tightness. He continued to move into a positive direction. And according to Sean McVay, it was a full day for him. It was good. Well, we prefer him not to have to hand off backwards on a couple of those. But because of the progression, he wanted to get the work in. And I thought really that the overall etiquette in terms of staying away from Stafford during the joint practices were good. So Stafford's been working his way in slowly. Look, Stafford's a dog. I expect this guy to fully get after it week 1. Nothing's going to keep him out. I mean, shoot, he was knocked out in the last game, and the guy still came back. He's shown, the grit factory, if you will, in plenty of games while a Detroit Lion and an LA Ram. No doubt, though, your Lions are still going to come away with this one. And now let's talk about the Detroit Lions. So Dan Campbell just stepped off the podium, and he had a few closing statements on the injury report for the week, which is the Detroit Lions still have several key players that have been moved to IR and or are dealing with injuries and have been at points throughout training camp. Particularly, the team was hit with a number of ailments to the secondary and then also the defensive line. Now, with the regular season opener set for this Sunday, it does appear that the Detroit Lions are getting a lot healthier at the right time. And Coach Campbell did say that most of the group is ready to go for practice this week. But there is one question about iffy. And iffy is just straight up iffy at this point. According to Dan Campbell, he said, Iffy'd be the only one right now who's still not sure. Still not sure on him. We're going to have to try to get him moving around a little bit today and tomorrow and see where he's at. Here's the good news. To close quote, everyone else, we're good. Now, that's great news for the Detroit Lions, but as you know, DJ Reader is still working himself back to try to get ready for week 1. Broderick Martin been downgraded and stashed on the IR. He's not able to return until week 6 after the bye week. And, of course, John Kaminsky, who initially made the 53-man roster, little roster gymnastics here. he won't be ready to come back for at least 8 to 12 weeks from now. So the Lions are still battling a lot of injuries with this team, but the majority of the starters are ready to go for this weekend versus the Rams. And I got to tell you, man, super excited to see how this new defensive back group with Terrion Arnold, Carlton Davis, Ennis Rakestraw, Amik Robertson is going to fare against what is turning out to be a very potent, yet again, another rookie wide receiver. So Puka Nacua is set to go. And if he's not, hey, the Rams always find a way to get the ball out. We'll see what this new defensive back group can do about it. Of course, I'm predicting the win for your Detroit Lions, but that's all for today's update on Monday. Now, we'll be back with these reports on Wednesday and Friday. For your injury report about this upcoming week's game, it's week 1, Lions versus the Rams.